You're the reason why I am my way. You're the reason why I rip my shirts, why I eat at the buffet. Butter, you got your very own kind of nice. We all live inside a butter world. Oh, butter. Butter, gonna eat it by the sticks tonight. Gonna eat out this world. Oh, butter. I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all night. Butter dreaming. I'm about to take a bite, 'cause I want that salty cream. What I dream about all.
All right, welcome everyone to an episode of Butterfield. Tonight we have Josh Ketry as a guest. Thank you for joining us, Josh, and obviously a wonderful co-host, Mr. Anderson, also part of Butterfield. Excited for tonight. Yes.
Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. Jay Anderson, pleasure to meet both of you. I like your intro there. It was really cool. You got your own custom song. I was rocking out. Pretty sweet.
Shout out to Rolling Blue, who came up with the cover song, Butter.
Nice.
Shout out to that guy. Yeah, go look him
really
up.
Set the mood. Now I'm ready to go here. You know.
Yeah, man, it gets you going. Nothing like some nice rock.
Hell yeah.
Set the mood.
Yeah. Love the intro. Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you guys want me to start just by telling the story? Where do you guys want us to begin here?
Sure, man. Maybe you want to start by introducing yourself.
Sure.
I know you run the Instagram page, Carnivore, Josh Ketry, Carnivore BJJ. You also got a blog. If you just want to start with that.
Sure. The Instagram page is just my personal page. I don't put that much effort into it. I just kind of post once in a while and share stuff from it. My blog, my average blog, it's called the Rationalist Society of Problem Solvers. There's a few people that write for it, but I was the one that kind of started it. And, I was just basically trying to get people together to try to solve problems. There's so many outlets out there that point out the problems and not enough outlets, in my opinion, that try to solve them. So I just was trying to create a place for people to meet and kind of discuss problem solving. And it's grown pretty good, it's been a little bit over a year, and my average article will get between 1,000 and 5,000 reads. So it's pretty decent. But it's really just a place for me to kind of lay out my thoughts and start discussions in the comments on Substack with people and things like that. So that's basically that. It's just kind of a side project, but I try to write at least once a week in the blog.
Mm-hmm.
And I cover all different kinds of problems in there, from what I believe is the biggest problem in our world, which is corruption of the systems that govern over our lives. I think that's our biggest problem. I think if we get rid of the corruption, we can solve everything from all the tension we have between people to financial problems to things like our food. Our food systems are all messed up. And you guys, I'm sure, are aware of that because I see all of your awesome posts that are highly aligned with myself. So, the food pyramid, in my opinion, is backwards or maybe just completely wrong. And I had to learn that the hard way. So and then I do write a little bit about Carnivore Diet and my experience with Carnivore Diet and my experience with how certain foods I really react poorly to. And what I basically started doing was once I fixed my own problems, I kind of dove into interview other people, kind of like what you guys do, and just see how successful the diet really is for people. And I'm shocked, at just how amazing and how, what's the word I'm looking for? How it's almost 100% success rate. what diet can do for chronic illness. I've seen maybe close to 100 people that I personally know that I can shake their hand, cure their autoimmune diseases or their chronic diabetes. Or I have two jiu-jitsu students that lost one lost 80 pounds, the other one lost 140 pounds.
Wow.
And chronic gout, like things that meat's supposed to cause gout, but he cured his gout by switching to strict carnivore diet, you know? So it's just like now that I'm a witness to that, like I've kind of turned into a zealot in the sense that I will, I feel like almost like a religious zealot, but I'm at the point where like, I really strongly believe in a saying called nullius in verba, which means take nobody's word for it. Like, show me, prove it to me. Like, I want to see the proof. And so with carnivore diet, it's real easy. I just go do it for 6 weeks and prove me wrong. Like, prove me wrong. And every time I've done that and someone has done it, it pretty much has had a positive result. So I'll start with my story and then we'll kind of like expand off that. So I've heard of carnivore diet like for quite a long time, like probably at least 6 or 7 years. Whenever Sean Baker was on Joe Rogan the first time, I heard of it. And I had a friend who was a professional fighter. He lives in Las Vegas. I live in Buffalo, New York. So like, you know, it's pretty far away. But I go to Vegas quite a bit. I have family there. And he started doing carnivore diet just because like he wasn't feeling great and just wanted to see how he'd feel. And he loved it. Like he was all about it. So I tried it for like 6-8 weeks, maybe like, 6 years ago. And then I sort of like started waning away from it. I started eating fried foods, not realizing that they're cooked in seed oils, I started eating condiments, which, condiments are pretty much the worst thing that you can eat in your fridge because they all have seed oils and like chemicals in them. And so then I was doing this like carnivore / horrible diet combination. And then I just like went back to the normal standard American diet, and that was that. But I had done, I was a vegan at one point. I was a vegetarian at one point. I was a pescatarian at one point. I've been training jiu-jitsu for about 25 years. I have my own school here in Buffalo with a couple other black belts. And, so like when I would compete, I would try to eat healthy and make weight and all that stuff. So I experiment with my diets quite a bit. And so I'm not talking from a point of not experiencing, like I've never felt anywhere near as good as I did when I do strict carnivore. So anyways, fast forward to about little less than 2.5 years ago. I started getting some weird symptoms. I started feeling like shocks going up and down my arms, and I started feeling off balance. I started feeling dizzy, these real hot and cold flashes. And I couldn't drive my car. My vision was like, I'd be looking at something, my vision would kind of like jump around. My eyes would just move. And I was like, what the heck's going on? And I also had clinical anxiety, which I've had that for a long time, like almost a decade, where I'd have chronic panic attacks, and I just got used to it. Like I had medication for it and I got used to the panic attacks. And let me say something, before I ever had anxiety, before I ever had a panic attack in my life, I always was the kind of person that was like, give me all of the stress. Like I liked stress. I was like, give me a challenge. I want something that's really challenging. Like jiu-jitsu is very challenging. Like I do my other hobbies are like musky fishing, which is like the hardest fish to catch, right? And then like a lot of the things I do, I like a challenge. But then when I heard about anxiety, I always thought like, oh, that's just a feeling, like an emotion, like you can overcome it, until I had my own panic attack. And then when I had a panic attack, I was like, whoa, wait a second. This was very physical. I couldn't control it. It was just like I was, it was overwhelming, right? And I had no idea it was like that. The same thing is very similar with people that have migraine headaches, right? My wife has, or she used to have migraine headaches really bad. And I always thought it's just a headache, like take an Advil and get over it. But it's not like that. Like she would lock herself in a room for 3 days, with the windows shut and all the light blocked out. It's completely different. And until you experience like a real panic attack, it's very hard to understand what anxiety really is. They should have named it something else, because it's not, there's like anxiety, the emotion, and then there's anxiety like a panic attack, right? And the panic attack is something completely different, completely physical. The first one I ever had, I was driving around a turn in my truck, and there's a bicyclist next to me, and all of a sudden this like wave came over me. I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was happening. And I just didn't want to hit the bicyclist. I almost passed out. I was like, oh, just don't hit the bicyclist. And I got to the side of the road, got out, I kicked my shoes off, and I was like, I just couldn't. It was almost like I was having like a trip or something like that, like a really intense, like it was really weird. I couldn't control my thoughts. I couldn't control anything. And it was very intense. I called 911 and I made a post on Facebook, like, I love you, world. Like, goodbye, basically. And I thought I was having an aneurysm or something, And then I realized it was a panic attack, a couple hours later when I was in the hospital. And then I started having them all the time. I couldn't control it. It was like one after another and after another. I was scared to drive. But then I got some medication and I got it under control, and I got off the medication, like sort of, you know what I mean? Where I would treat anxiety, because I don't like to be on medication. I don't even like take Advil or anything like that. I would treat anxiety almost like I was surfing. It'd be like a wave would come and I'd be like, all right, I can get through this. Even if I was teaching jujitsu, I just told my students, I'd be like, I might have a panic attack. And if I do, just bear with me, I never had one that was so bad that I couldn't finish like teaching though, I think it was because I was just so open about it. I just told everyone like, this is what might happen, and that's cool. And everyone around me is very loving, and I'm very grateful for that. And so that never really, I got used to it. Like it just, it was part of my life. And then, fast forward to about 2.5 years ago, I started having those more severe symptoms. It was like not anxiety at all. It was something to do with my nerves. I was off balance. I couldn't see. My eyes were moving. I was feeling tingly, hot, cold spells, having like weird muscle aches, things like that. And my wife's dad, he has MS. So in Buffalo, New York, MS is very prevalent. It's like, I know a lot of people that have MS, but people in my family, and I have friends that have MS, and everyone was like, dude, those sound like MS symptoms. Like, and I look it up online. It's like classic. Like the first thing usually is your like small motor movements, like your vision goes, and then you feel like these tingling, like little zaps, almost like things are biting you, like electric, and like hot and cold spells like coming off my spine. Really, really, really like hard to control fatigue. It would just like hit you where I was just super fatigued. And it was just symptoms I never felt before. So I go to my doctor, and he agrees. He's like, that sounds like classic MS symptoms, but let's be sure. Let's go get a brain scan. So I go get a brain scan, and it actually comes back negative. So I was like, all right. But a lot of this stuff was coming off my spine. I was feeling like a lot of like tingling and waves coming off my spine. So he's like, well, the most what's the word I'm looking for? The way to determine if you have MS the most clearly is to have a spinal tap, right? Which they take a big needle and stick it in your spine. And I was like, a little reluctant to do that. And he's like, it's about 2 months away, right? Like to get an appointment to even do that, it's like 2 months away. But I'm like, all right, let's do it, So I set up the appointment for that, and I'm ready to do that. In the meantime, my symptoms are getting worse. Like it's not like improving at all. It's like I was at a point where I was not driving my car. I was not training jujitsu, and like jujitsu is like my life. Like if I can't train like jujitsu at least 3-4 times a week, I get like depressed, and I get more anxious, and it's just like it was spiraling. But like I really try to have control of my mind and try to find the positive in things, and I was just trying to see the positive. But it was like I wasn't in a really good point in my life. It was hard, but I was trying not to show it that much. I was trying to like be strong, and like me and my wife just bought a new house, and I'm like, man, I don't want to make this like look worse than it is. I'm gonna do my best, and whatever happens, happens. It just so happened at the same time, I had an internet friend named George, who we met like because we had like similar views about like decentralization and government transparency and things like that. We met online, and then he was in a carnivore group, and I was also in a carnivore group. And he posted a video of he had MS, and he had cured it. He's like, cured his MS. And like, I was like, you cured your MS? He's like, well, I have no more symptoms of MS, and my brain scans are coming back. My lesions are going away, and I'm remyelinating, and I have those symptoms. So he's like, yeah, I'm off all my medication. He was bedridden, where he was like, couldn't control his bladder, couldn't walk, like really bad, like miserable. I'm like I can't remember the name of the drug that he took, but it was basically like chemotherapy, and it was just really, he was like, he describes it as like hell. Like he's like, he was in hell, and all of a sudden he's like, living a vibrant life and everything. And I was like, what did you do? He's like, I just did strict carnivore diet. He did really strict. He does a raw diet where he was eating meat raw. Like he would eat like brain raw, like liver raw, I'm like, I don't know if I can do fear factor stuff, but I can eat a steak, and I can eat some burgers. So I started off with that. I started off eating like just meat, like in general. I was eating like meat, eggs, bacon, like chicken, everything, but I was still having symptoms, especially when I ate eggs. I would have symptoms, like they'd flare up like right after. So and I was like accidentally eating like seed oil sometimes. Like there'd be like, I'd try to do like little condiments, try to cheat a little bit. Like I'd eat a horseradish that had soy in it one time, and messed me all up. But
Wow.
after about 3-4 weeks, because I was really like, I was keeping a diary, like, what did I eat today? How did I feel today? You know? And I realized if I just ate ruminant meat, like red meat, and water and salt, I didn't have any symptoms. So I switched to that, and I also did bone broth. I make my own bone broth, which is like, I think it really helped me heal. It had a lot of nutrients in it. And so I did bone broth, red meat, water, and salt for over a year, right? That's all I did. Within 6 weeks of that diet, I had lost 40 pounds. All of my symptoms that, I call it MS symptoms, but I never actually got diagnosed because my symptoms went away. And I was like, I'm not getting a spinal tap for no reason, right? So I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. But like, regardless, whatever it was some kind of autoimmune problem. And if I eat the wrong foods again, it happens again. Well, I don't know if that's actually true because I haven't had symptoms in a while. Like there's a theory maybe that like your gut can heal and like you won't have those symptoms anymore. But I just don't risk it anymore. But there was a time where I'd go like 3 months with no symptoms. I'd accidentally eat something. I'd have symptoms again, so, they'd come back if I ate the wrong thing, at least for a while. I've eaten like some wrong things recently and I didn't really have any symptoms, so maybe it doesn't even happen anymore. But anyways, all my symptoms went away. But that wasn't the only thing that like got fixed on me. Like, so like if I was feeling like 0 is like my normal every day, like before I had symptoms. And then I started getting symptoms and I was going like -1, -2, -3. Let's say -10 is the worst. I'd say I got to like maybe like a -5 and -6 where like, if I can't train jiu-jitsu, something's but I've trained jiu-jitsu with broken ribs. I trained jiu-jitsu with like, torn ligaments. Like you have to like keep me off the mats. And I just had no like balance, you know what I mean? And I was just miserable and I couldn't touch things. Everything like felt like really messed up. And so I get to like -6 and then I find the diet. I start coming back. I get to like 0 again. And I'm like, this is great. This is like my goal. I just like want to get back to normal, but it didn't stop there. I didn't like stop at 0. I started going to +1, +2, +3. I lose 40 pounds. Right. So I go from being like around 200 pounds to like, I competed last year at I weighed 149 for like my camp, like 149, 150 in the mornings.
Wow.
Right now I'm like 165, which I feel like a little better at, but like I was really light, but I was also doing 1 meal a day. So I was doing OMAD, like where I just like would eat 1 meal a day, be like 2 steaks and a bone broth. And then I wouldn't eat because give my body like a chance to produce, to help me heal. Right. And I was reading that like if you do like, cold plunges or if you do 1 meal a day, you produce stem cells and stem cells can help you heal. It's like hard to produce stem cells, especially when you're over 40. Like I was over 40, So I was like, all right, I'm going to do 1 meal a day and do carnivore diet. And like, then all of a sudden, all my anxiety that I had for 10 years, all my panic attacks just stopped. Like I have not had a single bout of anxiety in over 2 years now. And it was, that was just like an added bonus. But had I just known that would happen before, like I would have done carnivore just for that, because it was like, it prevented me from doing a lot of things I like to do. Like one major thing is like, I was afraid to drive long distances because I was afraid to have a panic attack. Like, and that's just all gone now. Like it's just all went away. But I also had things like joint pain and inflammation in my hands for 25 years of jiu-jitsu, right? Like where my hands, like I would train one day and then my hands would hurt for 2 days. Sometimes I have to ice them. And like for my camp last year for the tournament, I trained 2 times a day, every day for my whole camp. And I didn't have any pain, like no pain at all. I felt great, and that doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, all right, so something's going on here. And I basically now, since going through all this and like, now I feel like awesome. And let me add a couple of things here. Like in the last year and a half, I've added a bunch of foods in because I've met so many people that have autoimmune problems that I just know like personally, or I met online or whatever. I'll just coach them through it. Like, it's just like, hey, let's just try this, And a lot of them, like my one friend, he has psoriasis, right? And if he has an outbreak of psoriasis, it will last like 6 months, and it looks pretty bad. Like it looks like a burn victim. Like he has bad psoriasis, but he was able to pretty much cure it. It's gone now. You know what I mean? From just doing carnivore diet. But psoriasis is kind of stubborn. Like there's a couple autoimmune diseases that take a while, it seems like, to heal. And psoriasis is one of them. Like most people that I know that have healed psoriasis took them like a year and a half before they stopped having flare-ups, right? Or like rheumatoid arthritis is another one that's pretty stubborn. It takes a little while to heal, like rheumatoid arthritis. But I felt like with my symptoms, if I ate the wrong thing, I'd have symptoms for a day or two and they go away. So it's not really that big a risk for me. So like what I was doing was I was experimenting. I was like, I'm going to try a bunch of foods and like mark them down and like tell these people, because not everybody wants to do carnivore forever, you know, like, and I figured like, and some people just won't do it, but if they have like maybe like a little leeway, they could do it. So I was like, I'm going to do this. I'll be the guinea pig. Like first of all, I'm no longer afraid of this disease, whatever it is, because it doesn't last that long and I know I can cure it. And second of all, it only lasts a few days, right? So like if my buddy eats the wrong thing, he's going to have an outbreak of psoriasis and be like embarrassed of his skin for 6 months. And I can take that risk and he doesn't have to take it, right? So what I did was I started adding fruits. It was like the first thing, and honey, and pretty much every fruit I've tried has been safe for me. And honey's been safe for me as well. And then to fit in with your podcast perfectly here, I added dairy back in, right? So I love, like, my favorite food I think is butter. And this is not just, saying this to you guys, like, but I get raw A2 butter. So there's different kinds of proteins. I'm sure you guys are aware of that in cow's milk. There is A1 protein, which is like the typical protein that you'll find in the store, right? Most dairy is A1 protein, and then it's pasteurized. And pasteurized isn't always the best. Like that's how people end up lactose intolerant, because you have, I'm going to say this wrong, but you have lactose in the milk, and then you have another lactate maybe in the milk. So there's something else in the milk that counteracts the lactose, so you don't have a lactose intolerance. But when you pasteurize it, it burns off the one counteractive, and then people get lactose intolerant to it.
The enzyme lactase that helps you break down the lactose.
Oh, I got it right.
Yeah, lactase.
Perfect. Well, that was just coming off my memory that I heard on a podcast once or twice. But so it kind of made sense to me, right? And so I found raw A2 dairy from the Amish down in Pennsylvania over there, and they'll ship it to you. And so I started getting I would get like a block of cheese, like $50 block of cheese, and eat it in 3 days. You know what I mean? And then I'd get like 40 gallons of milk and just like freeze them and just start pounding it, and then, but now I've cut back. Like I just was doing it to try it. Like, so what I do is any food I would try one food a week, and then I would mark down if I felt good or not. If I felt good, then I would wait a little while to make sure I felt okay. And then I would hammer on it. I would eat like the first time I ate blueberries was the first fruit I ate. I ate a little bit and I was good. The next time I ate them, I ate like a bushel until my teeth hurt. My mouth was blue and I was like, and it was, I wanted to be sure. I want to be like, I'm not going to tell someone to eat blueberries if like you can possibly get symptoms from blueberries. And so I ate blueberries and I was fine. So I did that with all the fruits, like pretty much. I did have symptoms a little bit. It seemed like if I had stone fruits, except for coconut. Coconut, I feel like is the safest of all. It's like super high fat. It's good fat. If you look at like any of the omega charts, it always ranks like right next to butter and right next to like ghee for like excellent fats. And I've never really seen someone have a problem with it. Maybe people are allergic to it. I don't know. But I've never met someone with autoimmune problems that coconut would cause a problem with, because like I tried to get off all my supplements too, because some of my supplements were giving me problems, and I was taking a lot of supplements, and a lot of them were made with like vegetable oil capsules and like just garbage in there. And a lot of the ones that are supposed to be for anti-inflammatory properties actually were causing inflammation. And so I got off of everything, but I wanted to take vitamin D because it was like the heart of COVID, right? And everyone's like, take vitamin D. So there was one that had coconut oil in it, and that didn't have any vegetable oil. So I got that one, and I'm fine with that one. So that was basically it. But lately, like I've got back to more of a strict carnivore diet right now. I feel the best when I do pure ruminant meats. So I can't do eggs. Well, here's the thing. If eggs are fed soy, if the parents are fed soy or corn, I have a reaction to their eggs, and bad reaction too, like a pretty severe reaction. So I'm like kind of terrified of eggs. But then my friend who had MS was like, just try getting the ones that are soy and corn free, and you can get those from the Amish too. So I was getting them, and I actually was doing okay with it, and then somehow I got one in there that was like messed up, that had been fed soy or whatever, and I had a reaction again. So I just stopped doing them. I stopped doing that. I'll still do the cheese and the milk, and like I like heavy cream. Like I was getting like heavy cream and then getting like fruit and putting it in the heavy cream, and I'd freeze the fruit so the fruit would hit the cream and it would make this little frozen stuff on it. It was super good. Really, really good treat. Probably my favorite treat. But I stopped doing all that just because I didn't feel the best. I got a little bit I was like 175, 180, and that's like too heavy for me. And I wanted to be back down to like where I am now, 165. And so I cut out like the fruit and the dairy for the most part, except for butter. So like I get like raw A2 butter. I put on my steak every day. So I just basically have, my diet right now is basically burgers, or just like, ground beef, steaks, salt, and butter. And that's pretty much what I've been eating for lately. If I travel, sometimes I'll get fruit because it's like easier. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's hard to get like dried fruit. Like, there's all different kinds of dried fruits you can usually find that don't have additives in them. But if I'm not traveling, I try to eat pretty strict on I call it like lion diet. Like there's a girl named Michaela Peterson, who when I was going through this, she's like one of the people that helped me. She's got a little forum online. And she like lion diet is what she says, like, is ruminant meats. So animals that have 4 stomachs. So I don't really eat chicken. I do eat some seafood. Like I'll eat oysters and scallops once in a while, and fish, because they have like iodine in it, which is really good for you, and stuff like that. But I'll do it probably like maybe once a week. I'll have some fish or some oysters, something like that. But outside of that, I just do pretty strict lion diet, where it's just red ruminant meats, because the way it was explained to me is like a ruminant animal has 4 stomachs, and someone was saying that you could feed them like really toxic grasses that even have like been sprayed with chemicals and stuff like that, and their body is so good at like pulling the chemicals out of the toxic grasses that by the time it turns into meat, it's like clean, and you're not really getting the chemicals. It's not the same thing as like a chicken or like a human, where we have 1 stomach, and what we eat like gets absorbed into our fat cells right away. So it kind of made sense to me, and I've been sticking with that. I mean, I've tried other ruminant meats like bison, and a lot of my friends are hunters and stuff like that, and they'll give me some deer meat, which is really good. Venison, but I just burgers are easy and cheap, and you can buy them. You can buy like a whole cow or half cow around here pretty affordably, and it usually works out pretty good for me. So that's kind of my story,
Wow. That's quite the journey, man. Well, super glad that you were able to find this, and glad that you took action before even, waiting for the spinal tap, right? Because most people would be like, carnivore diet sounds crazy. You're probably going to need supplements or something. I don't know. I think it's just a testament, like the symptoms are so bad that a carnivore diet, as crazy as it sounds, you have to give it a try before you start doing something that, I don't know, something medical, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I kind of lived by this motto since I was little. It's like, do something even if it's wrong. Like that's like the motto I like kind of live by. And if I do something wrong, learn from it. Like it's okay. So I'm always like, this is something my dad always would tell me, like, do something even if it's wrong, So I'm like, all right. So I wasn't just gonna sit there. Like that's not me. Like I have symptoms, I got a problem. I'm gonna like be relentless until like I figure out a way out of it. And it just so happened I was lucky to have someone, close enough to me that had the same problem and beat it already. So like to me, it's like about results matter most. Like that's like who are the people out there getting results? And it's not the medical community. There's no medical, like go to a MS clinic and find the people that are off their meds. You can't. I can take you and introduce you, and you can shake their hands to a whole bunch of people that are off their meds like here's the thing. With autoimmune disease, it's nearly 100% success rate of the people that I know that have done it seriously. So I know, like I said, I know like pretty close to 100 people that have done carnivore diet now for autoimmune. And of the people that have done it, there's only 2 really that I know that didn't totally cure themselves. Or like, when I say cure, I mean, I don't even look at autoimmune disease as a disease anymore. I don't think it's a disease. I think you're poisoning yourself, right? Like people will say to me like, well, can you eat normal food again? And I'm like saying like, that's like saying like, hey, you're eating cyanide and you stop eating cyanide and you feel better. I'm like, can you eat cyanide again? Like, no, you can't eat cyanide again. Like something in there is poisoning me, right? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
not the way I look at it. I look at it like you're slowly poisoning yourself. So there's the two people that I know that didn't cure themselves. The one girl, she had like six autoimmune problems. She was like a lot, and one of them was rheumatoid arthritis, and that always takes a longer time to do it. And she did it pretty strict for like 3-4 weeks, and she said she was feeling better. But then she would call me one day, and she's like, "I'm not feeling good." I'm like, "What are you doing right now?" And she's like, "Well, I'm at Starbucks drinking a Frappuccino." I'm like, "You're drinking a Frappuccino?" I'm like, "You can't have a Frappuccino. Like, when that you can't do that." She's like, "I can't have coffee." I'm like, "That's not. First of all, it's not even coffee, and second of all, no. You know what I mean? Like it requires really strict." So I don't think she did it like the way that you're supposed to do it. I don't want to say that for sure, but I know at least once she had a Frappuccino. So, and then she gave up on the diet like after about 6 weeks. But the only other person I know that didn't totally that didn't work for has type 1 diabetes, which is like childhood diabetes where your pancreas is just like shot. But they still do carnivore diet to this day. Like they're like mostly like, you know, carnivore with like a little bit of fruit in it and here and there. But to manage it, like they have a thing built into their body where they monitor their glucose, and they're like, it's so easy if I just do carnivore diet, I don't have to really worry about it so much. So they still do it, but they can't cure them. It's like it's incurable. They're always going to have that. But
type 1 is tough.
What's that?
Yeah, type 1 diabetes. I haven't heard anything yet. People have been much better blood glucose control on a carnivore diet or a keto diet, low carb diet. But I haven't heard of people like being able to undo type 1 diabetes. That's a tough one.
Well, that's like the one exception where like the genes actually like give you the condition, you know.
I think it's over for you, right? Like if your pancreas is dead, like there's nothing that you can do. So I mean, that's like, it's my really good friend too. Like he's like my super close friend, my buddy Dan. Shout out to Dan if you're listening. But yeah, he's a great guy, but he does like mostly he's a big hunter too, so he's always giving me meat. He's like, "I got more meat for you."
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Nice.
So but he another person that helped me a lot was a girl named Emily Penton. She had MS too. She's symptom free now for many years, and so like I just happened to be like fall into like a little group of people that had MS, and like it worked really good for me. And the problem is I have people in my life that have MS, but they won't like stop drinking alcohol. You know, the one won't. So there's just like they just won't. They like ask about it all the time, but they don't have the discipline, I don't think, to do it. Well, here's the thing, and I say this to a lot of people that won't do the diet. Maybe you're not suffering enough, right? Like that's just it. Like for me, I was suffering to a point where like I would have, you know, you could have been a snake oil salesman and sold me some snake oil, and I would have probably tried it. You know, I was getting ready to go to Panama to do stem cell treatment, which I actually think is awesome. I think it works. I've seen results from stem cell therapy. It's called mesenchymal stem cells, and it really mirrors a lot of what carnivore diet does. It reduces inflammation in your body. It helps your body heal. There's like a lot of similarities to it if you look at it, and it works on a lot of the same things, like autoimmune problems and diabetes, like things like that, even like autism, things like that. So, you know, it's pretty interesting. But all I like to talk about, you know, with conviction is what I know, and what I know for a fact is I have no symptoms anymore. I have no symptoms of anxiety anymore, and I feel the best I've felt maybe ever in my life. And because I'll never shut up about it, if I hear anybody in my close proximity that has autoimmune diseases, I start talking to them about this right away. Like because someone did that for me, right? And if I didn't hear about it, like I don't care. Tell me to shut up. Like tell me to get away from you. Like that's fine. Like I get it. Maybe you don't want to hear about this, but if you do, and I'm keeping the information, I feel guilty. I feel like guilt. I feel like well, I know something that can help end your suffering, maybe. And so try, and because of my big mouth, my relentlessness to always say things to people, I've seen with my own eyes now. Like I've seen with my own eyes people beat their psoriasis, their MS, and like I said, MS coming back with negative. You know, they're remyelinating their brain, like they're like fixing the lesions that. Oh, you look at any literature, it's not supposed to happen, but now it's happening multiple times. So, like I'm so frustrated with science in general because everyone's like, oh, peer-reviewed science is the pinnacle of science. That's not the pinnacle of science. The pinnacle of science is being able to independently replicate a science experiment. Einstein didn't have, maybe he had one peer-reviewed paper out of all of his things, but because of all of the things he discovered, we're able to have this conversation right now using satellites, right? Or things like Maxwell's equations, electricity. We're able to, like, those are repeated billions of times. Like every time you turn a light on, that's Maxwell's equation being redone again. So that is way more important to science. And if you look at science, like, okay, where are people being cured for autoimmune diseases? Where are people being cured for diabetes? Where are people being cured for depression? Like that was one that I found. I was like, wow, people are being, like, my one friend, she had ulcerative colitis, right? And her name's Lynn. Shout out to Lynn if you're watching. And she has ulcerative colitis really bad, like debilitating, right? And she also had depression since she was a kid. So for her, like, depression was something she was used to, kind of like how I was used to my anxiety. She started Carnivore Diet a little over a year ago for ulcerative colitis. She got off all her meds for that, but then all her depression went away too. All gone. She lost 30 pounds. She looks like a fitness model now, right? And all this because she had the discipline to do the diet. At first, she was doing it kind of like I was, a little bit off, like where she was doing too many condiments and things like that. And then she's like, oh wait, the seed oils are like a huge problem, right? So cut the seed oils out, cut the soy out. Like, so now she don't cheat at all. And she, like, every couple week or two, she'll text me and be like, dude, I can't believe how good I feel. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I know, I feel the same way, right? And so she's like, kind of turning into me, where she's like posting about it all the time, telling people, right? But to me, like, it's very frustrating that science isn't catching up quick here. It's taking a long time. And like I told my doctor will see me, like I'll go in and I'll be like, he's like, do you want meds? I'm like, I don't need no more meds. He's like, you lost 40 pounds? You could see your abs again? Like, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing, right? And I'm like, I tell him, like, eating meat. He's like, you're eating meat? I'm like, yeah, tell other people that, right? Like be loud about it, right? And like in my opinion, the FDA and the CDC, if they were doing a good job, the metrics for autoimmune diseases wouldn't be going up like this, right? They'd be going down, like they should be going down. We should be learning about what is causing these problems. Heart disease and cancer shouldn't be going up. They should be going down. Why is everything going up? And that means you're not doing a good job. You're doing a bad job. And to me, results matter most. And in my life, I've not seen results like I have with Carnivore Diet in almost any, well, jujitsu. Jujitsu is another really good one. Like, you can't lie and say you're good at jujitsu. Like, I'm good at jujitsu. Like, oh, yeah, let's spar. You know what I mean? It's very
easy to prove.
Yeah, exactly. It's like prove it. But that taught me to, like, not take anyone's word in anything else, right? And like in jujitsu, like exactly where you stand, right? You know the pecking order. I know that there's a black belt I roll to, like, every day pretty much, and he beats me more than I beat him, and I know he's better than me. But it doesn't hurt my journey of getting better just because he's better than me, right? It's like, doesn't hurt my ego. It makes me see my flaws better, right? Like embracing the failure and that. But the medical community refuses to embrace their failure. Like, the medical community is just like, no, we're not. Our peer-reviewed papers are the most important. I'm like, no. How about the 100 people that I know that have cured themselves? My results are better than yours just from talking to people. And I am only talking from experience, right? I'm not a doctor. I don't even know. All I know is, like, this is what worked for me. Let's talk it out together. I mean, because that's how jiu-jitsu was formed to begin with. If you compare back and forth to jiu-jitsu was formed by, like, okay, I'm stuck in this position. Does this work? No. Does this work? No. Does this work? No. Does this work? Oh, this works. Let's tell our friends. Okay, I had success doing this. And then you start building off that. The same thing with this. Like, there's, like, some of the pioneers in this diet, like Michaela Peterson and Dr. Sean, and, like, a whole bunch of, like, people like that just started it. And then a bunch of other people added to it. And now there's, like, this pool of information that we all can kind of build off of. And so it's that science, like, being able to, like, I have 2 friends that have three with ulcerative colitis, gone. I have psoriasis, MS, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease. I'm trying to remember all the names. Graves. Oh, some of the there's one other, like, area of autoimmune diseases where I think it will be not curable. And that's when your thyroid is totally shot. So it's kind of like your pancreas. There's a lot of thyroid autoimmune problems. Some of them are kind of like type 2 diabetes, where they're like Graves' disease. I think you're just a little bit messed up. But there's ones where your thyroid's like totally shot. I don't know all the names of all those diseases, but I've kind of been reading about it, like trying to see like if I know anybody with any of these symptoms that I could just talk to about it. And that is one area where I think that it might be like you might be able to manage your problem, like your iodine better. And I've seen some podcasts where they talk about it. I just didn't dive into it because it's not like in my immediate like field of view, right?
Yeah.
I know what I've experienced. If you have anxiety and you want to get rid of anxiety, now I know a whole bunch of people that have beat anxiety, a whole bunch of people that beat depression. And like I was saying, my friend Lynn with the ulcerative colitis, she beat that, but her depression was like debilitating. She was taking medicine. She's done with it. She's like, doesn't have depression anymore. So I'm at the point where I think you're poisoning yourself, and a lot of it is based in inflammation in your body. And when you have inflammation, your immune system doesn't act right, and you just get sick. Like you get sick, and it's hard to deal with everything. And then parts of your, like, there's a whole bunch of theories that like I read about. There's a lot of doctors and like medical people in the forums on Facebook that talk about like what they think the problem is. And from what I can gather, they believe it all starts in the gut, right? Like what we eat, you get leaky gut, or you have certain proteins that leak through your gut, and you'll go to different parts of your body. Like for MS, it goes to your brain, or for Crohn's disease, it will go to parts of your stomach, or for psoriasis, it will go to your skin. And your body will see those proteins and think of it as an invader and launch a counterattack. And that counterattack is the disease. Or it's basically like a poison. If you have a poison in your body launches a counterattack to that too. So that's kind of, it really makes the most sense to me, just like just thinking about that, because there's no doubt there's a relationship between autoimmune diseases and the gut. Depression, maybe not all depression. Like I think there might be different kinds of depression, right? There might be depression because of circumstance, like, you know, you're mourning or someone that you love died, or you have a bad circumstance. Like that's probably different than clinical depression that you can't get out of. But I've seen a lot of people beat their depression, like clinical depression, with changing their diet. Anxiety is the same thing. Like anxiety, now that I know what anxiety is, like it is very physical. It's a very physical, it manifests physically in your body. And now I've seen people just, you know, 100% success rate with nearly every other autoimmune disease and depression so far. Like I'm not saying that it always will be 100%, but with what I've seen with my eyes, depression, anxiety, everything, all of it is beatable, right? And almost no one, I don't think, even the girl that like didn't stick with it and didn't beat her, she was feeling better. She was having a lot of improvements, but they didn't go away. She didn't get off her medications. But then again, like I didn't know exactly what she was taking, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the story, and that's kind of where I'm at. I write about this a lot. Like I did a piece recently about how seed oils. If you look at the consumption of seed oils in America on like a graph, and the consumption of soy in America on a graph, and cancers on a graph, and you know, autoimmune disorders on a graph, and autism on a graph, it's all like they like scale up year over, like almost like the only thing is like some cancers dip because of smoking, I think, because everyone kind of realized smoking is bad. I look at seed oils and soy as the new smoking. Like there was a point where doctors were like, smoking is good, and now they should be changing their tune about seed oils and soy, because it's not good, you know. And that's one of those things. If I eat soy or seed oils, like I would have reactions like bad ones immediately. And almost everyone else in the community, if you're in the autoimmune community and you're paying attention, people that accidentally eat seed oils or whatever will have reactions like pretty bad, you know. So
yeah, I mean, we're basically, the way I view it, we're like at a like turning point or breaking point for the population, where we've deviated so much from nature that we have no clue what to eat. We think that food from a laboratory, synthetic food, is just as good as whatever we can find in a cow, for example. And you know, we are pretty resilient, right? I mean, you had 25 years of jiu-jitsu experience in you, and then you reached a point where it all of that went away and you didn't know how to fix it. and that's when you started searching, started looking for answers.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing like all these diseases, all these health problems were just in your back of your mind. You never really looked at food as a health thing, or maybe, I mean, perhaps as a performance thing, but you never really, it's something in the background. It's not something you immediately always connect to perfect health. It's like if you're diseased, you think of medication,
Yeah.
and that's when you hit the wall. Uh, Clearly, medication is not gonna get us out of MS.
No.
So yeah, we've deviated so much from nature and from natural. Yeah, and that people today, like if you say that, people don't understand it. Like, oh, nature, like what? Yeah, are humans part of nature? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We're
100 years ago, if you look back in literature, like 100 years ago, there really weren't autoimmune diseases. They just didn't exist. They're like, they
Yeah.
weren't in, they're not in the literature. Like they're just not there. And it's not like people will say like, oh, they couldn't describe them well, or they could, no, they could, or they could describe things like instant death. Like people just drop over dead from strokes and heart attacks. Like that was pretty, like they would just call it, like even in the early 1800s, they'd just be called like an instant death. It was so rare. And like people dying from heart disease and cancer combined, like before, I don't know the exact date. I think it's like before 1910, heart disease and cancer combined for less than 1% of all human mortality. And now they're killers number 1 and 2. So like, how did we go from that to being the number 1 killer? Well, in 1910, Crisco Crisco got introduced, and there were ads for it everywhere. And I was like, cooking this and make your chicken in this. And like, and then all you see, like that goes in, and then here goes the heart disease, and everything starts going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And things didn't really take a turn until the 60s, where it was the president, one of the U.S. presidents, Eisenhower.
I think it was Eisenhower, yeah.
Yeah, he had a heart attack, and we immediately blamed that to animal fats, and then everyone was like completely scared. And that's when you even see a huge rise from away from animal fats into seed oils and sugar. And since then, as you also pointed, diabetes up, obesity up, being overweight up, cancer up, autoimmune disease up. But obviously the medical system is set up for treatment, not for cure, right? Because you gotta make money, right?
Right.
So if you cure people, you start seeing all these things go down. There's no more money to be made. So the incentive structure is not properly well set up over there.
Yeah, it's sad. That's why I think what you guys are doing is so important. Like having a platform like this, spreading the word. Like I don't just think it's like, entertaining or what. I think it's a purpose. Like, and I think it's really important to have a purpose. And like, to me, I've kind of made it one of my purposes just to talk about this as much as possible, because I don't want to see people who wants to see people. If you want to see people suffering, you're not like a person that I want to be around. Right. And I want everyone around me to be the opposite of suffering, like trying to live their best lives. Right. And if that can happen just by changing what you think about food. And like you said a minute ago, like you said, like, maybe I didn't realize like that food was bad for me or whatever. That really wasn't the problem. Is the way I saw it. Like I would try to eat healthy, like, 'cause I would train and I would get, I just didn't understand what healthy meant. I didn't understand what that really was. Like,
True.
like the people say, oh, eat a salad. If I eat a salad right now, it would have like dressing on it. That dressing is like, it's like cyanide. It's like poison. It's like there's seed oil. Yeah. Or go to the store and look at the creamers in the coffee aisle. Every one of them like has soy, seed oils. They have canola oil in coffee. Like why? Like you don't have to have that. Just put milk in there. You don't need seed oils in that. Yeah. So I always tell someone, I go, if we went to the store right now and we walked up and down the aisles and we bet $20 for each item, I'm going to pick it off the shelf. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to say, is this item have soy, seed oils, or lecithins in it? If it does, you give me $20. If it doesn't, I give you $20. I'm walking out a millionaire, right? I'm walking out like
you are, man.
And now imagine those are all poisons. You can't avoid them. Everyone is eating them somewhere. Like they think like, because that's what I thought. I'm just eating coffee and salad. No. if you're eating fried foods, like chances are your foods are fried in really bad oils, right? That McDonald's used to fry their foods in animal fats. Like, and actually, like I've been talking, you guys know who Texas Slim is? He's got a podcast. He does like the Beef Initiative. So he's a
I've checked him out.
yeah, he's a pretty big podcaster. Like, in terms of like beef, like you can order beef from him online. It's like awesome beef. Like he promises never to add like like nothing's added to it. There's no all his ranchers, and he's got ranchers all over the U.S. They don't add mRNA vaccines to their livestock. They don't add like all kinds of stuff. But he's also like a Bitcoin guy, the decentralization guy. He's a really interesting guy. But we've been talking a little bit because I'm in a restaurant business too, and I want to open a restaurant that's like seed oil free again, like like just how McDonald's used to be, like a burger joint that has like fryers made with animal fat. Like everything in it is, even the condiments are seed oil free and soy free. And just go back to seeing like what that does, because like not only is it taste better, like I don't know if you guys ever cook an animal fat, but it's so good,
It's the best.
Also, it's so much better for you, right? It's just like humans have been eating that for forever. It's like literally forever, and it's the only food on planet Earth that we can eat just one of. Like we can eat just red meat. We don't need to supplement anything else. We can eat red meat and water and live. If you do that with anything else, you have to supplement, right? If you try to eat blueberries, you die. Just blueberries, right? They're good. They have some stuff in it, but there's a lot of stuff you need. All vegans and vegetarians have to supplement because there's stuff that humans need, and that should tell you something, right? So,
absolutely.
I want to tell one more pretty funny story here. So I have one student. He was a really big guy. He's probably like 360 pounds, like big giant guy. And his whole family trains jujitsu, and like his kids are amazing. Like they're all wrestlers and jujitsu. Like his 3 daughters wrestle for Life University, and they're ranked like all in the top 10 for college wrestling. And his son was the under 23 representative for the United States in wrestling, and they're just all sick at jujitsu. Like the one girl, she was a 16-year-old blue belt, and she'd go compete in the black belt division, and like she didn't win the finals, but she like got like really far in the division and stuff at 16, right? So he's a really good coach, and like but he was overweight and like feeling like all his joints, he has gout, all this stuff. So he heard about me doing Carnivore Diet, and he's like, I'm gonna do it, So he does it, and he loses a lot of weight, like 140 pounds of weight, and he runs into someone that he didn't run into for like a year. So he runs into someone that didn't run into for a whole year. And the person didn't they didn't know each other that well, but they knew each other kind of. And the guy's like, hey, where's your brother? Is he still around? And he's like, my brother? He's like, yeah, the real big guy that was here last year, the real big, huge guy. He's like, oh, that's me, dude. And he's like, you lost like a whole person,
Wow.
So, I think that's a great story. But the more important thing is he cured like all his ailments. He had all kinds of joint pain and things like that. But I think it was great that he lost when I see him, he looks like an athlete now. Before he just looked like, he looked scary, like big and strong, but he looked fat, and he looks great now. So I love hearing stories like that, so.
Yeah. And I think that really ties into like, people don't know what healthy is. Everyone wants to eat healthy. Someone that's overweight is not overweight because they don't want to be healthy. Or they love being overweight. I don't think anyone does, but it's the fear of eating meat and only meat. It's so pervasive that people just completely dismiss it, and then they're not able to lose weight because they're not eating the right food. So they're always going to be hungry because they're not getting the nutrients that they need. They're getting the calories, but they're not getting the nutrients, so they're just going to overeat. And it kind of what sucks is that it's good to hear that people kind of cure themselves from all this stuff, but then some of the people that are outside of the carnivore community, they just look at it and they say, they got better because they lost weight. So it's a symptom of losing weight, but not a symptom of the diet. And it's like, come on, like you don't get it. People, it didn't occur to them to lose weight before, and now they just.
I would counter that by saying like how come any of us who have already lost weight, if we eat the wrong food, we get sick again? So it's because it's poison. And I would counter it also by saying like red meat gets vilified, and it's weird that it's vilified because it gets vilified for like first of all, that like cholesterol, we already, this is already disproven. Like it's already proven that cholesterol, like all that whole entire study about cholesterol is a sham. It's just garbage. And it was funded by people that had an interest in grains and sugars. And it's just built on a lie. So like the way they did the study, I from what I read was like, they examined like 100 people that had heart attacks and found that there was cholesterol near the blockages. Well, cholesterol is a pre-hormone. So cholesterol, like you need it for everything. So if I like broke my finger, my body would send cholesterol there to start the healing process. So of course, where there's an injury, there's going to be like cholesterol, right? So that's like just like the worst study like of all time. And then everything's built on that. Like the entire American Heart Association like is around that idea. And it's just not true. It's just simple, like, oh, there's so many people in the carnivore community, doctors, and that have been doing this for like 5-10 years. And the best way to tell, like, if you have heart problems is to check to see if you have any blockages, right? Do you have any, your I think it's called the CAC score.
The CAC score, yeah. Coronary, coronary calcium score or something like that. Yeah.
They come back with zeros, all of them. Every single person that does it seriously for like 3-4 years comes back with a 0. So like, that's just, it's results. It's all about results. So if you're watching this right now and you're worried about your heart, like, I don't know, go look it up. I never got a CAT score. I feel great. My blood pressure is way better than it used to be, though. I'll tell you that. I used to have blood pressure would go up and down. Now I never, like, I have no problems at all. I used to get lightheaded sometimes standing up, feel fatigue. I never feel fatigued anymore. Like I feel like I always have good energy, like a good constant energy. But the other thing that like the people that, you know, that argue about meat, there's two other arguments that always come up. One is like the idea that, you know, it's cruel to animals, kind of, right? You don't be cruel to animals. And I understand that. Like I do understand that. I think that I try to get grass-fed meat and pasture-raised meat whenever possible because I don't want to be cruel to anything that I don't need to be cruel to. So that's like something I make an effort to try to do, but that's like a personal thing. But people that eat vegan, when I ate vegan, I didn't realize how many animals actually die when you do monocrop agriculture, right? When you plant a field of corn and you churn up that ground, hundreds of groundhogs die, and mice and snakes and birds. And then when you reap it down, you kill everything, deer, raccoon, like all these animals die. And every year that I do carnivore diet, I kill about 1.5 cows a year to eat for a full year. Yeah. So I kill 1.5 animals. If I was eating just like a bowl of corn, just a bowl of corn, it's probably like I killed a lot more animals to eat that than I did to eat the cow that I eat every day, right? So there's one argument. And the other argument is the environment. And this one here is so tricky because people take all this data and they like smash it together. They say like, oh, most of the soy that's grown is used to feed animals. And they're right that a lot of it is, but it's used to feed a lot of chickens and we used to feed a lot of like pigs. And I don't eat that. So like, that's how I rationalize it. Cows can eat just grass. So can sheep. So can ruminant animals, you can take grass, and grass grows real fast. Like they can eat like one corner of a field, and the next week they eat the other corner of the field. And it just grows back super fast. So it's like you don't have to like rate, you know, they don't eat soy. So it's like ruminant animals are they say that they burp a lot or something, you know, it's just a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? It's not worse than like spraying chemicals on all of your food to keep the pesticides off, churning up the land. And the worst case scenario is I look at it as like a push, like environmentally, we're going to harm the environment a little bit in order to eat our food. We're going to kill some animals to eat our food, unless you're growing your own, you know, tomatoes in your yard and that's all you eat. Like you're going to kill animals of some kind to eat, and you're going to hurt the environment a little bit. Let's try to do the least amount of harm there as possible. I'm with you. I agree with that, but let's not blame it and say, let's stop eating red meat. If red meat can save people's lives, like save human suffering and a lot of it. And if you're watching this and you have autoimmune problems and you are thinking about doing this, do this. Like do it as a science experiment. Do it like you don't believe me. Do it like you want to prove me wrong, but do it for real. Don't like do it like and call me and say, oh, I'm having a soy frappuccino at Starbucks this week, right? Because that's not really doing it. You have to try to do salt, beef, and water for 6 weeks, right? It's going to be a hard 6 weeks, but treat the food like fuel, like medicine. Like pretend like that's like really what it is. And if you're suffering, pretend like you can end the other suffering. And let me tell you something, you don't get sick of it. Like for a little bit in the beginning, I was kind of sick of meat because your stomach has to like change. It's got a whole like biome in there where it's like saying, give me sugar, give me like this, give me that, give me meat. And like for a while, like as it turns over, like the first couple of weeks, it's not like great. But then once you get used to like running on like red meat, it's what you crave. When I'm hungry, I want to eat some. I want to take a nice juicy burger, put some melted butter on it, and just hammer it. You know, that's like, I'm hungry. That's what I want to do right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, we generally recommend all kinds of animal foods, but obviously, I think the autoimmune context, specifically MS and other like very serious autoimmune, well, they're all pretty serious.
yeah, I would say like all animal foods are better than our standard American diet of everything, right? For sure, and like and even all animal foods plus fruit, which I think is safe, and dairy, like that, like. There's two different reasons to do it. One, because you want to eat healthier, or two, because you have autoimmune. If you have autoimmune, you're going to want to be extra careful that you're not messing yourself. It's like you don't know what your triggers are, right? Like some people maybe ruin their stomach so bad that they get triggered off like less, you know? So I'm not trying to dissuade anyone that's listening to this to not eat animals. Like I know a lot of carnivores that do eat chicken, that do eat eggs, that are fine with it. But if you're suffering and you're not sure, like at least this first 6 or 8 weeks, maybe try that. Like, you know, especially autoimmune stuff. Yeah. And like there's millions of people with autoimmune. And I honestly want to go stand in front of a clinic and be like pass out flyers like a religious person. Like people get on the plane. Hi, sir, do you have an autoimmune? Here's a pamphlet. You know, because like
maybe we should, man.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of doing that. YouTube and streaming stuff like this. This is better. You got a broader reach. Broader potential reach, right? You can reach so many people this way, and it's really awesome to see you guys doing this. You know, this is what we need. More of this, more people talking about it, more people sharing it. Because if there's enough people saying like, I cured myself, right? I fixed my problems. I'm off my meds. Well, that's what medicine's supposed to be, right? That's what we need to demand. We need to demand like medicine that fixes us, not that makes us customers for life. Because that's disgusting. You know, it's I understand why it happens, but it's disgusting. And we have the power to fix it. Like we have the power to decide to be disciplined and try a different diet. And what like this one saying, I actually heard it from Will Smith of all people. But I know, right? And like he used to like you look back at Will Smith, some of his stuff on YouTube from like 10, 12 years ago, it's so good, like his inspirational stuff. And then I don't know what happened. He started slapping people at the award ceremony. But he says this, like, and I think it's like really awesome. He says the greatest form of self-love is self-discipline, right? If you care about yourself, then be disciplined. Like pretend, like I tell the kids in kids class in jiu-jitsu, like be your own coach in your head. You're your own coach. So if you see yourself going to eat a piece of pizza, be like, don't eat that pizza. Like, don't. That's bad for you, right? Or you see yourself going to do something that you know you shouldn't be doing, like coach yourself out of that. Be disciplined. And like, and self-discipline isn't just for like self-love. It's like if you love your kids, if you love your family, your wife, your spouse, don't you think your spouse wants the healthiest version of you, the most capable version of you, the one that's like able to do the most, that's living their best life, that's helping like lift others up around you? And that requires self-discipline, like discipline to go to the gym, discipline to eat what's right, and experiment with your food. Like, so like don't just take everyone's word for it. Like nullius in verba, like believe for yourself. Take nobody's word for it. Eat a diet and see how you feel. I was a vegan. I was a vegetarian. I was a pescatarian. I was a carnivore. And there's not even close. It's not close. It's like there's 3 are over here. Well, no, here's the thing. When I was a vegan, I think it was better than the standard American diet that I was doing. You know what I mean? Like it was better than eating, like, cause I was eating pretty clean as a vegan and a pescatarian too. I was eating a little bit of seed oils with dressing, but I felt pretty good. But I didn't feel like I do now. Like I feel like I found a youth or something. I feel like it's truly, I can't put it into words without sounding like hyperbolic about it, right? But it's true. This is just the truth. And the most important thing is that I'm not suffering anymore. I'm not suffering. And I don't think, I think that if you're suffering out there, there's a really good chance you could fix yourself. And I've seen this for a lot of diseases that are like, you know, people have done it for things that like aren't even autoimmune, and it fixes it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're suffering from something chronic, try it. Like, try fixing your diet, see what happens. You know, that's my advice.
Yeah.
So-
Fully on board, man. Fully on board. And do you? So it sounds like, do you deviate from carnivore? I guess you say you were doing more fruits before, but now you're probably more stricter.
Yeah, I'm
How does
strict now.
more strict now? Yeah.
I kind of figured out what was like, you know, I did my experimenting. Like, I was a guinea pig for a lot of people that were like, and so like people like, you know, my mom and dad that might not want, I'm just like, just eat fruit and meat, guys. Just eat fruit and meat and see what happens. Maybe add a little dairy in there, and don't buy anything with a package. Don't buy anything with ingredients. Don't buy anything with a chemical in it. If like there's a fruit that has chemicals in it, don't buy it. Like,
Yeah.
and just eating fruit, meat, and dairy, you're gonna be like a million times. Still felt great when I did that. I just got too heavy for my liking, you know.
Mhm.
And I lose self-control too, because I would like, you know, if I have a big block of cheese in my house and it's sitting there, I'm like, I gotta eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I have steak, that means I gotta go cook. And steak's really satiating. Like, it really fills me up.
Yeah.
Dairy, like, has, like, you know, lactose is a sugar technically, and
Yes.
so it would it didn't satiate me the same way. I can eat a little fruit. Like, I just went on vacation a couple weeks ago, and I was down in Arizona, and I had like, you know, to stop in places and get like dried mangoes and like bananas and things like that. And I didn't really feel like extra hungry. I still felt pretty good. But I feel the best when I do strict carnivore. But of course, like, you know, you want to live a little, enjoy life and holidays and stuff like that. I was able to eat, in terms of vegetables, I've tried a couple. I've been able to do mashed potatoes pretty safely. I did that for Thanksgiving this year. And then, you know, a few other vegetables I've tried, but I'm more nervous. Like, they've probably been sprayed. Even if they say they haven't, there's probably some hidden chemicals in there. And I just don't feel the absolute best. And I don't stay at the exact weight that I want to be at. So for jiu-jitsu, like, talk about weight classes, right? So I kind of want to be around 165, and that's where I feel the strongest and the best and the fastest, and like the sharpest in my mind too. Like, I used to get, when I had the MS symptoms, I have brain fog that was so intense. I would be talking on the phone to someone, and then all of a sudden just not know who I was talking to. It would just like hit me like a wave. I'd be like, whoa. And then I would just didn't even know what we were talking about. And all that went away. All the brain fog, everything is gone. Every symptom that I can think of that I had that was chronic, I don't have anymore. And I can't like stress it enough, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that, I mean, that's amazing, but one of the things that we like to ask people, right, and then we ask ourselves, is a bit of a philosophical question, right? Like, are you and people who have MS like what you would call a canary in a coal mine?
Yeah.
In the sense of, hey, you're having all these foods. Well, now you can have more foods, but before you were at a point where you can only have a very strict form of carnivore in order to have a high quality life.
Right.
So just because you can tolerate these other foods, should you tolerate it? But of course, we're humans. You know, you gotta live life a little bit, enjoy stuff, and we're more resilient. You know, we're super resilient that we have 400-pound people walking around still alive.
Right.
So we're very resilient. So that, you know, yeah, that's the question. Is there stuff out there that we tolerate, but should we be tolerating it?
Yeah. Maybe fruit might be like one of those things that you probably shouldn't do. And like I said, I feel like if I give an honest metric of myself, I feel when I do strict lion diet with butter, so I do lion diet with butter, I feel like optimal for me. I feel really, really, really good. I add fruit, and sometimes I'll get a little like more tired. I think I'll have a little insulin spikes in there, you know, and then I'll put on a little weight too. But, you know, if you think of it from a plant's perspective, from the perspective of a plant, it doesn't want you to eat its leaves or its roots, really, or like its stems, but it wants you to eat its fruit. Like it's, you know, it's putting the fruit out there for people to eat or things to eat or animals to eat.
Yeah.
And so they aren't defended like with chemicals the same way as like leaves are, and, you know, especially seeds. I mean, you think of some of the worst poisons in the world, they come from seeds, right? Ricin is a poison that's derived from seeds. Cyanide is found in seeds. Cyanide is found in almonds. Like, if I eat, like, that's one thing. If I eat nuts, I thought nuts would be like, okay, that'll be one of the things I can try And that's one of the things I went back to the autoimmune community. I was like, do not eat nuts. Like I would eat nuts. I'd be bad for 2 days. If I eat almonds, I'm jacked up from almonds, like really bad.
Yeah.
And they're bad. Like they're not good for you. I believe that nuts are seeds. Beans are seeds. You got to think about wheat is seeds. Wheat is like grains are seeds. Seed oils are seeds. There's just the only seeds that I was able to eat safely are figs. So when you eat a fig, you eat like the seeds, or seeds that are in fruits. I guess I can eat like a strawberry.
Strawberry.
Yeah, like something like that. And I didn't have a reaction to it, but they want you to eat the seeds, and that's the purpose of it being in the fruit. But any other kind of plant does not want you to eat the seeds, and when you do, it's a poison. It's a poison, just like ricin, just like cyanide. I think that soy is a bean, and we're poisoning ourselves with soy oil, and our testosterone levels are all like this. Like that's one thing I noticed. I should have measured it, but my testosterone levels are like whoop, like this. Like I just feel like you can just tell, right? You can tell in a bunch of ways, obviously, but like you can tell, you could just tell, like my my desire to compete again. Like a desire to compete is like a desire to test yourself, like just all desire to like put myself in pain and push through it. I didn't have that. Like it was going away. You know what I mean? And now it's back. Like I have this desire to like push myself again, which I didn't have before. Honestly, it had kind of gone away. I was kind of just going through the motions. So, yeah.
I mean, it's really truly incredible. Looking back, it sounds so simple, right? Just eat meat, and then you're like, all these problems are solved.
It's insane.
But getting to that point requires a lot of work. I know you mentioned suffering, right? Because some people, they hear it, they see other people improve, people with MS, but they haven't suffered enough that they don't want to, go full carnivore for a year, right? That requires, I don't know, but
it requires a lot of discipline, right? A lot.
Yeah.
And like it's easy. It was easy for me because it's like you're suffering, right? It's like you're suffering and someone drops you a rope and says, try this. And you start to climb the rope a little bit and it starts to work. So then you're like, fuck, I'm going to climb this faster, right? Like for me, anyways, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But like I said, I didn't have symptoms very long. So the damage I'd done to my stomach probably wasn't as bad as some other people. So some people might have my friend George that eats the raw meat, right? He eats it. Oh man. He
still does that to this day, still raw?
Yeah, he does. He'll eat like he's broadened he eats fruit now too, and he eats like he'll cook food too, he eats steak and everything now. But for like over a year and a half, he just only ate raw food. He's like, this is the most nutritious. I'm like, I can't. I tried raw liver a couple times, just to be like I did it, or whatever. But man, I did not like it. So it wasn't for me. Here's the thing, if I had to do it, I would do it. I would have done it. But I was like, I don't have to do Fear Factor in order to cure myself. I'm fine, right? So I'm not going to. There's no reason to add. I'm not going to go from suffering one way to suffering the other way for no reason, So, but he would eat brains and like he would eat testicles, like he would eat like sheep testicles. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry. Unless I
think carnivore was a little bit hijacked in the beginning with social media, just like, okay, someone comes up with the carnivore, and then someone needs to provide even more shock value to get your attention. So people went further raw. I think we're now coming back to eating cooked food, enjoying the food. It's actually very effective and very healthy.
Right.
But we do have like a punishment mentality where I gotta hit the gym really hard, extra hard every day in order to grow. So I'm gonna apply that to healing myself. I gotta eat this like raw food every day.
Right.
But yeah,
it worked for him though. I mean, it worked, but it was like, I don't know if it was like necessary to do. I think at some points it's like some of the stuff would be higher in nutrients probably because you're not cooking it off, So, and like, man, when I say he was sick with MS, like in bed, couldn't control his bladder, just all embarrassing stuff, like stuff that like you just like a hopeless puddle, like just sitting in your room. And now the dude is like he lives in New Jersey. Like, is that where you guys are from? New Jersey, right?
Massachusetts. Cape Cod, Mass.
So yeah, he's over in New Jersey, and I'm in Buffalo. And one of the restaurants I manage is a big it's like a music venue. And we got to talking, and he's like, I've been there before. I'm like, you have? And he tells me, he's like, yeah, there's a group called Every Time I Die, and they have a Christmas like festival. Like it was like 2-day, like big, huge band thing. And so I found out that like he liked them, and like, so I owed him a lot of gratitude because he coached me through the whole thing. So I was like, I got him like tickets and stuff, and I like brought him out here just so that I cooked him, you know, I was like, man, I got to shake your hand. Thank you. And everything like that. And he came out, and he's just so vibrant now. He's like, you know, just so much energy and vibrance. And it's just so like, if I didn't see his video, like he'd share like his videos, like when he was sick and going to get chemo and all this stuff, he shares his brain scans, like pictures, like here's my lesions and now they're gone. Right. And so like, if I didn't have that confidence coming from him, it would have been a lot harder to do. So man, I owe a lot of gratitude to a lot of people. Honestly, there's so many people that helped me along the way, and that's why I try to be just a voice now, because like it's the one place in my life where I can tangibly help someone, and it seems to be like almost every single time, like pretty much. It hasn't hurt anyone yet that I know of. You know what I mean? So that's at least that like is do no harm, but at the same time, people are off their meds. People are not having symptoms at all. Like, in some of these autoimmune problems they're bad, man. Like some of the stomach problems, you're like, you know, I don't want to swear in your thing here, but you're like shitting blood, right? Like you're like the bad things are happening to you. Your skin's like falling off, like you can't function, and it's very sad. It's very sad to see. And it's like when I see people that are suffering, and I know that I hold knowledge that could help them, it's like, man, I gotta tell you about it, right? And if you don't listen to me, that's on you. And maybe you can. And I try to find the nicest approach. I don't want to sound like overbearing to people, but I'm like, the best way is like, what's your problem? And they tell me, I'm like, how about I introduce you to someone that's fixed it? You know, I can introduce you to someone that fixed your problem, and that's who you should be listening to. The people that have gone past their problems, just like, you know, with the pandemic, the people who predicted what was going to happen, those are the people we should have listened to. Not the other people that predicted everything wrong, the people that predicted everything right, right? That's who you should listen to, or the people with anything, the people that talk about anything, or the ones that are proving it, or saying, here's my philosophy, try to break it. Here's my system, try to break it, and not hiding it and not trying to censor you and protect them. No, the people that say they're open and transparent and can show you results, and then most importantly, if you can do the experiment on your own and see results on your own, there's nothing higher than that. That is the epitome of science, right? And this is one area where we can do that. Like, we can spread the word about this. So this is awesome, guys. Thank you so much for like having me on here. This has been great. I'm really excited. I'm gonna share that. This is do you guys mind if I share this in my Substack as a link?
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
You know.
Oh, awesome, cool. I will do a little write up about it, and I'll share it and try to spread the word about you guys, man. And like I think you guys are doing awesome work. You know, thank you so much for having me on, Jay and Anderson. Like, this has been great. I know I talk a lot too. I'm sorry.
Oh no, man, I love it. You know, thanks for coming on, and you know, we'll definitely try to redirect people to your blog. You know, you touched on a lot of different topics. You know, we talked about healing. You talked about, you know, environment and cruelty, and you know, we're talking about you mentioned also like how the systems have been corrupted, right? And I think it's clear, you know, how carnivore is a big red pill for people to wake up to this and see just how, you know, nutrition science, academia, the media, basically, you know, the whole like medical industry and even government, you know, at a worldwide scale, really, they're the ones pushing this narrative that, you know, red meat is bad for you and you should be eating all these plants. And
right, exactly. And the people pushing it, if you look at them, they all look unhealthy too. Like they look, or, you know, people pushing. It's kind of sad to see. Yeah, if you guys do go to my blog, like I talk a lot about systems. So like my favorite thing to talk about is systems. I believe that systems dictate pretty much everything, because humans don't have time to think about everything. It's so much better if we have like a good operating system over us. But if that system is corrupted, then that's a big problem. And right now our systems are corrupted. Like the system of America was very well thought out for the time. Like people always point to things like, oh, there used to be slavery and there was no women's rights and suffrage. But the system fixed all those, right? The system was like, recognized it, fixed it. And it was getting better over time. But now it's so corrupted that there's problems, right? Things are going the other direction. And the way that we fix it is we first need transparency. We got to demand transparency, because if we can't see the problems, we can't fix the problems. And then we need to decentralize. I try to decentralize everything, which, like anything that I'm a leader of, if you put me in charge of a system, the first thing I do is decentralize myself. I say, all right, I turn to the group of people that I'm in charge of and say, what do you guys think we should do? Like, if you're a leader out there, try decentralizing yourself. Not only is it the most ethical way of leading, but it's the most efficient. You're going to have really positive results, like, by doing this, at least my experience with it. And so I talk a lot about these systems, like a really good system. If you have a good system, you should be able to turn it over to your enemies and say, try to break this, and they can't break it. That's a good system. Like, a good system is one that is not like if you just look at a computer system. If you build a good computer system, what you should do is hire a red team to try to hack it and say, go ahead, try to hack it. And they can't hack it. And then you'd be like, see, I told you it was a good system. But this should be true with every system. And right now, our politics is so corrupted just from money alone. Like not even like the voting systems, which are probably corrupted too, or the systems of influence. Just by money alone, it's just corrupted in that way. But then on top of that, there's so many additional ways that it's corrupted that it's infinite. And we can fix all that. What we need to do is we need to bond together as people. And like you always hear about, like, direct democracy. People are afraid of direct democracy. Well, there's like the tyranny of the masses is what people are afraid of. But we need to, like, kind of harness that and, like, fight back with it in a careful way. That's what I believe. We need to create, we have a good system. We don't need to break our system. We just need to fix our system. And we need to create, like, a new system that plugs into the old one and fixes it. And there's ways to do it. And I write about it. So if you want to check those out on Substack, I go into those in pretty much detail, along with a lot more carnivore diet stuff. And I'll definitely be doing a post about this video coming up. So
Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good place to end.
all right, guys. If you guys are ever in Buffalo, look me up, and we'll eat a steak together, all right? And some butter.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same here, man. If you're ever around, like, the greater Boston area, hit us up.
Sounds good, man. Good talking to you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Josh. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right. Yeah, that was
just dropped out.
yeah. I think he probably had to run, but no, that was a fantastic conversation with Josh. Definitely a lot to say. Hey, Raw Agent, sorry we didn't get to your hello here, but what's up?
All right. Yeah, you want to just wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in, Courtney. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, Josh, high energy. Love it. So yeah, with that said, wishing everyone a happy, healthy, more nutrient dense era from here on, and catch you all next time.